She froze when she saw him again, dirty shoes, hollow eyes, staring at the crumbs on the ground. "Here, eat this," she whispered, placing the bread in his hands. He flinched, almost as if he didn't trust kindness. But something in her voice made him pause. Every day, she did the same small meals, quiet smiles, soft words. Sonia didn't know why, but her heart ached for this boy, whose sadness ran deeper than the streets he wandered. One rainy evening, curiosity pushed her to follow him. And what she saw left her breathless. An abandoned building, flickering lights, shadows that whispered secrets of a life no child should endure. Her instincts screamed she needed to help. But fate had bigger plans. A car screeched. A collision. Her savings. His life. And that's where her story truly began. Before we dive deeper, season greetings, please. If you're listening to this right now, I want to prove my friends wrong. They said I can't even reach 3,000 subscribers. Help me show them that stories like this matter. Subscribe to King's Folklore, and let's keep breathing life into tales that refuse to die. Now let's continue. She walked out of her tiny shop, the warm glow of the late afternoon sun painting the street gold. Her apron was dusted with flour, but Sonia barely noticed. Her eyes were fixed on the boy who sat near the corner, shoulders hunched, staring at nothing in particular. David. That was the name she had overheard once from a passerby. Every day, he was there, silent, hungry, invisible to most. But not to Sonia. She remembered nights when she had gone to bed with an empty stomach herself, dreams of a better life slipping through her fingers like sand. Somehow, that memory made her heart ache for him. "Here," she said softly, holding out a small paper bag filled with bread and leftovers. David flinched at first, his dark eyes wary, but hunger won over hesitation. His fingers brushed hers for a moment, the faintest touch that spoke volumes of trust, or maybe desperation. "Thank you," he mumbled, voice barely above a whisper. "You're welcome," she replied. "Eat before it gets cold." Days turned into weeks. Sonia found herself planning her life around his routine, closing the shop just a little earlier, buying extra food, even sewing small patches into his tattered clothes when she could. People whispered. Some called her foolish. Others called her kind. Sonia didn't care. She saw something in David that no one else did. A spark that refused to die. One evening, curiosity gnawed at her stronger than usual. David had disappeared before she could hand him a warm jacket she had stitched from old fabrics. Something told her he was hiding more than just hunger. She followed him discreetly, keeping a safe distance. The streets gave way to empty lots, the air colder, heavier. Finally, he entered a building so derelict it looked abandoned, a skeleton of wood and brick with shadows like ghosts clinging to the corners. Sonia's chest tightened. The smell of damp and decay hit her. But she pushed forward. Through a cracked window, she saw him curled on a thin mattress, shivering. His eyes widened for a moment when he noticed her watching. "David," she whispered, almost breaking her own rule of silence. He didn't respond, just looked away. That night, Sonia made a decision. She would help him, no matter the cost. She took him home once, letting him sleep in a spare room she kept for emergencies. Her mother fussed, wringing her hands over the mess and the risk. But Sonia's resolve was unshakable. "What if he belongs to someone?" her mother asked nervously. "Then he hasn't met them yet," Sonia said firmly. "And right now, he needs someone." Days later, she returned to the shop with a bundle of clothes, warm and bright, hoping to coax a smile from him. But fate, cruel as it often is, had other plans. A car's horn blared as he dashed across the street, chasing a fluttering paper. Tires screeched. Time slowed. And then, impact. Sonia ran, heart pounding, dread twisting in her stomach. Blood. Crying. Confusion. A crowd gathered. Someone shouted for an ambulance. The world narrowed to him, David, the boy she had grown to care for, lying motionless on the pavement. At the hospital, Sonia faced the stark reality of life's cruel math. Doctors spoke in numbers she could barely comprehend. Bills. Thousands. Her eyes widened as she realized it was the exact amount she had been saving for her modeling dream for the past 3 years. Every sacrifice, every skipped meal, every odd job, it was all meant for that dream. She sank into a chair, her hands trembling. I can't, she whispered. Her mother's hand on her shoulder was firm. He needs you more than your dream right now. You can rebuild your dream. You can't rebuild his life if you let this pass. Sonia's chest tightened, tears blurring her vision. She closed her eyes, whispered a prayer, and made her choice. She handed over the money. Every last bit. The days were tense, filled with waiting and quiet vigil. But slowly, David's pulse grew steady. His eyes fluttered open, and for the first time in a long while, they weren't empty. They were wary, but alive. Sonia sat by his bedside, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. Hey, she whispered softly. You're safe now. You're home. David's lips curved into a faint smile, the first real one she had seen. Home, he murmured, testing the word. What would you do if this happened to you? Sonia asked, voice shaking. Would you trust someone like me? He didn't answer, but the way he leaned slightly closer said it all. Trust was growing. Fragile, but real. By the next week, David was out of the hospital. Sonia and her mother made a small, cozy room for him, giving him a sense of belonging he had never known. Meals were shared. Laughter began to return. And for the first time in years, the apartment felt alive. Every evening, as Sonia prepared food or tucked David in, she thought about the road ahead. Life had thrown them together in the cruelest ways, and yet the most beautiful. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but she knew this much. Love, kindness, and sacrifice had already changed both their lives forever. And in the quiet, when David's breathing was steady, Sonia allowed herself a small, secret hope. Perhaps one day, her sacrifices wouldn't just save a boy, they might change everything. Life had begun to settle into a fragile rhythm. David laughed quietly while helping Sonia's mother sweep the floors. Sonia watched from the doorway, a smile tugging at her lips, feeling a warmth she hadn't known she could hold for someone. But the calm didn't last. One bright morning, as sunlight streamed into the shop, 4 cars gleaming and impossibly luxurious rolled down the street, engines humming like a chorus of power. The townspeople stopped, mouths open. Sonia froze. Something in her gut told her this wasn't ordinary curiosity. A man stepped out of the first car. Tall, sharply dressed, with eyes that held both pain and determination. He scanned the shop until they locked onto David. David? His voice trembled just enough to show he had waited years for this moment. David turned, fear and confusion warring in his gaze. I don't know you, he whispered, stepping back. His small hand reached instinctively for Sonia's sleeve. Sonia's heart clenched. She had promised him safety, and now he was being pulled into a world he couldn't yet understand. The man took a cautious step forward. I'm Michael, your father. I've been searching for you for 4 years. Your mother, she passed when you were born. I never stopped looking. David's eyes widened, tears brimming. Why? Why now? He asked, voice shaking. Michael's jaw tightened, emotions raw. Because I finally found you. Because I want to make things right. Sonia's heart pounded. She could feel David's fear, the hesitation in his small, trembling body. This was the moment that would define everything: trust, family, and the sacrifices she had made. David, Sonia said gently, kneeling to his level, you don't have to go if you're not ready. You can stay with me, always. You're safe here. David's hands clutched her apron. I don't want to leave you, he admitted, voice breaking. Michael nodded slowly, respecting the silent plea. I don't want to force you, he said. I want you to be ready. I just, I want you to know who I am. That I've always cared." Days passed. Michael returned every morning, bringing gifts and stories of the life they had missed together. David listened cautiously, the walls around his heart crumbling inch by inch. Sonia watched quietly, realizing that love wasn't about holding on, it was sometimes about letting go and trusting life to guide those you care about. One afternoon, while David played with a small model car Michael had brought, Michael turned to Sonia. "I see what you've done for him," he said softly, admiration and gratitude mixing in his voice. "You've given him more than I ever could have alone. I want to help you, too." Sonia blinked. "Me? How?" Michael smiled. "Your dream. Modeling. You've worked for it. Saved for it. Believed in it. I want to sponsor you. You'll attend a prestigious academy. Fulfill what you've been sacrificing for years." Sonia's throat tightened. Tears blurred her vision. This unexpected blessing was more than she could have imagined. And yet, her heart beat fastest for David, the boy who had made every hardship worthwhile. "What would you do if this happened to you?" she murmured, watching David attempt to smile at his father. Could you trust someone after so much pain? The weeks that followed were a delicate dance of trust, bonding, and acceptance. David spent mornings with Michael, afternoons with Sonia. Slowly, laughter returned fully to the apartment, mixing with the smell of fresh bread and the warmth of family. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Michael took Sonia's hand. "I want you to know something," he said, voice soft but steady. "I've been searching for him, but somehow, I found you too. I care for you, Sonia. More than I expected." Sonia's heart raced. She had imagined this moment countless times in her dreams, yet reality was far more emotional than fantasy. "I care too," she whispered. David, catching sight of them holding hands, smiled. It was hesitant, but full of hope, the kind only a child who has known loss and love could understand. Eventually, the day came for Sonia to leave for her academy. Michael knelt beside David, taking a deep breath. "I'll see you soon, son. I promise." David hugged Sonia tightly. "Don't forget me," he whispered. "I could never forget you," she said, tears streaking her cheeks. As she left, David waved from the doorway, a mixture of fear and excitement in his eyes. Michael stood behind him, giving a reassuring nod. Life had changed irrevocably for them. All what began with small acts of kindness had blossomed into family, trust, and love. Sonia's modeling dream awaited, but so did a home she would always return to. And in that balance between ambition, sacrifice, and love, she found something more precious than any career could offer: hope, faith, and the knowledge that when you give from your heart, life has a way of returning it 100-fold. Sonia returned from her first week at the academy with a mix of excitement and homesickness. The streets of the city felt different, bright, bustling, full of strangers, but her heart ached for the warmth of home, for David's laughter and Michael's quiet strength. Yet, every evening, Michael called with updates, sending small videos of David building model cars, reading books, or attempting to cook with clumsy, endearing enthusiasm. David ran to the door the moment he heard her footsteps. "Sonia," he shouted, face lighting up like the sun breaking through clouds. Sonia scooped him up in a hug, her heart swelling. He clung to her, a reminder of why she had sacrificed so much. "You've grown so much," Michael said, smiling from the doorway. His presence was steady, protective, and kind. "And I've missed having you around." Sonia laughed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I've missed this, missed you both." Life slowly settled into a new, harmonious rhythm. David adapted to having his father in his life, learning that love could come in many forms, both from someone he had just met and someone who had been with him through every hardship. Sonia's modeling classes were challenging, but she carried the warmth of home with her. Every lesson, every outfit, Every photo shoot reminded her of how much sacrifice and faith it had taken to reach this point. One evening, after a long day of classes, Sonia returned to find Michael waiting at the shop with a small bouquet of roses. David peeked from behind him, curiosity sparkling in his eyes. "Sonia," Michael began, his voice steady yet soft. "I've been meaning to say something. You've given David a family. You've given him love, hope, and a home when he had none. And you've given me a reason to believe in people again. I want to spend my life with you." Sonia froze, heart pounding. Michael's eyes held sincerity, vulnerability, and a quiet confidence that made her breath catch. "Michael," she whispered, words faltering. He knelt before her, holding out a simple, elegant ring. "Will you marry me? Will you let me be your family, just as you've been mine and David's?" David squealed, clapping his hands. "Yes, yes, Mommy Sonia, say yes," he shouted, running between them. Sonia laughed through tears, lifting him into her arms. "Yes," she exclaimed, feeling a wave of joy so strong it nearly knocked her to her knees. "Yes, I will." The following weeks were filled with planning, laughter, and small, perfect moments of family life. Michael's home welcomed Sonia with warmth and care. David explored every corner with wide eyes, finally feeling safe, loved, and whole. Sonia trained diligently at the academy, but her heart always carried the rhythm of home. David's giggles, Michael's reassuring presence, and the knowledge that the sacrifices she had made were never wasted. One sunny afternoon, as Sonia returned from her modeling class, Michael and David greeted her with an impromptu picnic in the garden. The air was fragrant with flowers, the sun painting gold on their faces. David leaned against her, sleepy and content. "I'm glad we're together," he whispered. Sonia hugged him tightly, feeling the weight of everything, the struggles, the sacrifices, the prayers, and the moments of despair. "Me too, David. Me too." Michael stepped closer, gently placing his hand over theirs. "This is what life is meant to be," he said softly. "Kindness, love, faith, and the unexpected blessings that follow." Sonia looked at the two people who had changed her life forever. She realized that true happiness wasn't in wealth, fame, or even her long-dreamed modeling career. It was in moments like this, love freely given, sacrifices recognized, and lives intertwined in the most miraculous ways. Her phone buzzed a message from the academy confirming that her scholarship had been officially approved, fully funded by Michael. Tears of joy streamed down her face. Dreams she had nearly abandoned were now within reach, without sacrificing the family she had come to love. "What would you do if you had to choose between your dreams and someone you love?" she asked David gently, remembering the moment that had changed everything. He smiled up at her, silent but understanding. That night, as they watched the sun set from the veranda, Sonia felt a deep sense of peace. Life had been unpredictable, painful, and beautiful all at once. The homeless boy she had fed every day had grown into a confident, smiling child. The man who had searched tirelessly for his son had found not only him but also the woman whose heart was big enough to care for both. And Sonia, she had found the courage to dream, love, and hope again. In the quiet of that golden evening, Sonia whispered a prayer of gratitude. The road had been long, full of heartbreak and doubt, but it had led to exactly where she was meant to be. Love, sacrifice, and faith had not failed her. And as Michael slipped the engagement ring onto her finger, David jumped up, cheering, "Family forever!" Sonia looked at them, her new family, and smiled, knowing in her heart that the smallest acts of kindness often lead to the greatest blessings. Dreams, love, and family all intertwined in a way that only life's mysterious hand could create. Sonia gazed at her little family, heart full. She realized that kindness never goes unnoticed. Sacrifices are never wasted, and love has a way of returning when you least expect it. Dreams may be delayed, hardships may come, but faith, courage, and selfless acts can transform lives in ways unimaginable. David had found a father, she had found love, and together they had created a home built on trust, hope, and resilience. If this story touched you, hit that subscribe button for more emotional tales from King's Folklore. And even if it didn't, come on, subscribe anyway. We'll win you over next time. Drop a comment, like the video, and let's keep the stories alive. Thanks for watching.